Good morning, interwebs. This is Hayes Fields III, aka Trey,
I'm Hazen Fields II.
I'm Lex.
and this is another episode of Various Fields. What is up?
What is up?
I want to bring up a topic that, I think we've expressed about it a little bit in the past, right? With the evolution of technology. I know that the droid apocalypse is coming, right? But nevertheless, the thing that's in the forefront of most of everyone's minds right now is AI, right? And as it's evolved, it's taken on multiple shapes, multiple apps, right? The ChatGPT, the Gemini that's on the Google Pixel, right? And all the other ones, in which case we can even learn and work with professional AI apps to help our own individual jobs, right? AI is in fact taking over, right? Slowly, as a useful bot, right? But one day soon, it will be your leader.
Oh, no.
How do you feel about that? I just want to know.
No. Any thoughts?
Any thoughts about that? I'm scared.
Well, go on.
I'm glad we're talking about this again because I will say I think I do have an interesting take on this, or at least amongst my peers, I've felt like I've had an interesting take on this. AI itself doesn't bother me too much.
Right.
I think it's just like a lot of new technologies that happen when they come upon our world, come upon the field. There is a fear that's coming around it because it is a strong and powerful tool, but it's still, again, a
Since
tool.
the Matrix has been out there.
Indeed.
Actually, since what's the name? Oh man, why can't I think of
Keanu Reeves?
No, not Keanu Reeves.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, this is close. I was actually going to say, iRobot. What's his name?
Will Smith?
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
I believe that's his name. That's the author of.
You're talking about Orwellian. You're talking about 1984.
Yes.
Okay, all right, yeah,
wow.
okay, yeah.
Nice.
No, that's not Orson Welles.
No, it's
All right. Oh my God, we just mentioned this.
You know what we should do? Look it up on AI.
Yes.
What was his name? I'm trying to remember.
Well, as he's doing that, I think one of the things that's interesting about AI is like I see it as a tool. I think it's a very powerful tool, and most of the controversy, at least in my world, that comes up is around AI art specifically, and then I would say second to education. So usually I feel like. Because here's the thing, we've been talking about AI, but a big thing. We've had AI forever. Go for it.
Go ahead.
Isaac Asimov. Sorry.
Isaac Asimov.
Okay. So now we still got to look up who wrote Doors.
Well, what's the 1984 is Isaac Asimov?
No. I was thinking Orson Welles. I'm saying the author of iRobot was Isaac Asimov, and I do apologize for that.
Who wrote 1984? George Orwell.
George Orwell.
There we go. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we had a little bug in our head. We had to get out. Go on.
But with it being about education, I've learned I think it's funny because there's a lot of people who have a certain type of concern for it, and I do think it's a very helpful and powerful tool. But the way we learn to regulate it and not be scared of it is to learn what we didn't learn from the internet. And I think what happens is the internet was also just an amazingly powerful tool that was one of the few things that's technically got government to not regulated, but was distributed. Like the internet, it was distributed by the government. It's not like a company. No one owns the internet, World Wide Web. We own social media, things like that, but it was distributed that way. And a lot of people didn't know what the internet was, didn't know what the internet was going to be, how to use it. Then other companies come up like social media and it becomes a monster of its own. So now people are like, social media is very dangerous. And I think that's because we were very kind of late to the game. And what happens with AI, now there's our companies who are more or less in charge of it. Google has Gemini, I believe. I'm not going to go through the list because I don't know them. But other companies have other AIs.
Right.
And I think the idea is how do we learn how to regulate this tool so it doesn't become dangerous? And because I do think it's a dangerous tool in terms of it can be used to separate class, it can be used to separate race, a whole bunch of things. Because just by the nature of access to education and access to information is a very dangerous thing. But I don't think we should fear it. I think we should learn as a communities what we think AI is best for.
I'm concerned that we can slowly begin to feel that AI, artificial intelligence, can become better than our own ingenuity. So what happens is if people that start to rely on AI, there sometimes people will say things and make it like, well, oh, you can do it easily, and easily can become easily switch to AI.
Right.
You know, in other words, switch to it's better.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. In other words, if I can do it quickly, it's better than what I can do. And then after a while, generations down the line, our own ingenuity, our own craftsmanship, our own originality, now will take a back seat because we say, well, the robot can do it better than I.
To take some pressure off the people, I do think capitalism incentivizes that. So I don't think it's everyone who. I agree what you're saying, but just to be like, I don't think every individual believes that. I think they're like, job.
Well, I mean, not everyone, but we
Right.
can,
I agree now.
we talk often about cultural conditioning, and I believe cultural conditioning is real. I believe that the more we become, we start to receive something into our psyche, after a while, it no longer just becomes something that becomes a notion, but it now becomes a habit, it becomes a characteristic, it becomes a part of our core value. And after a while, we'll start to believe that which served us is now better than we that have created it. And so therefore the robots actually win, you know? So it's and I've had my, I actually was saddened a bit. I think I shared a little bit with you. There's a AI film of some sort where the original actors from Happy Days greet their younger selves. And it's like, just to kind of give you the impact of life, Happy Days when I was a kid was a monstrous success. They had sheets and pillowcases and lunch boxes, and they were all of the actors, Ron Howard, Henry Winkler. They were honestly iconic in their own right at that time, and not so much now. And so to see they play a somber minor key version of the Happy Days theme somewhat, and you see Henry Winkler at his age now greeting his younger self. And there was something about maybe the finality of life or the inevitability of life. I think it made me, it saddened me, and I'm not exactly sure why. Because the various actors and actresses of the Happy Days thing have had varying degrees of success.
Right.
Some have gone into obscurity. Some have continued on into their vein. And that's all of us, is it not? So, but anyway, but AI did it together, and it wasn't like CGI where it was like, it looks like, holy smokes, Henry Winkler's hugging a younger Henry Winkler, and I'm like, and it made me scared or nervous or something.
I mean, that's eerie. I get
Eerie.
Yeah, eerie's, I mean, just by the nature of it. I also think AI, especially if you watch an AI video, they all tend to be unsettling because they've gotten close to mimicking things that are good, but they're not.
Right.
And that literally hits what I think the phrase is uncanny valley.
Correct.
So like sometimes the video itself, just by the nature of it, not like your brain be like, this looks real, but also another part of your brain can recognize it's not, and that's just eerie.
Right. Yeah.
I only believe that, again, I don't think that it's going to take over like wholeheartedly. I think I believe that what we have right now is kind of like people coming into slowly accepting AI and AI tools as it ought to be right now. When it first came out and just started doing all these random image generations, right? Often people were concerned about it taking from various other artists, right, and just pulling a whole bunch of data together to make a generic picture. In which case, people were able to identify particular styles that they have drawn in the past and say where'd they get its information from, right? And that's what people were concerned about. Nowadays, and that people are, I guess, more commonly accepting the fact that AI can in fact be utilized as a image generation piece, and then generate their own original idea from the generation that came from it. All right. So it's not so much a final mock-up or any final draft of any image. All right. Or it's not supposed to be intended to be a final draft of anything, a book, a play,
Indeed.
A movie script. Right. And some people are saying that they're writing movie scripts now. Right. It should be something that you're also able to pull from, or at least feed information to from your own original idea, and allow it to help, I guess, correct the small errors, the idiosyncrasies of, like, I guess, grammar or what have you.
Yeah.
You know. So I'm going to say that there's going to be definitely a time when I know what Musk is working on a chip that's supposed to be implanted in your brain to help us see better.
What?
Right. But that's another topic.
It's crazy
All
bomb to
right.
drop. Go ahead.
But there's also supposed to be, I believe there's going to be a whole bunch of AI tools in our lives
All right.
that
Okay,
are just
go
going to help us with our everyday life.
I agree. Nels, in comment to the chip, pointed to his glasses, being like, and I just thought that was the most hilarious. He's like, is that enough?
Right. He reminded me of the guy that's famous on the
Yeah.
internet for going.
Yeah.
It was very good, but that's very true, but to Nell's very cleverly placed point, when do we start to give over that which we do to something that is learning to do that which we do, and after a while, we can again, cultural conditioning. If you start to believe that something's good in en masse, after a while, people will believe it's good. Like, I'll give you an example real quick. When I grew up, we were required to read certain books because those books were considered classic. I don't know who considered them classic, but I know it was required reading. So therefore, collectively, I was required to kind of go, that book was intriguing to me when it was absolutely something I didn't relate to. We were reading a Huckleberry Finn way into the 70s, and there was insulting and inherently racist statements within it. But we were, forced to call it. It's a classic. So,
I mean, racism is a classic.
well, indeed. Wow. Yeah. It's been with America since 1619. Racism.
America, bring all your original hits.
Oh my goodness, yeah. But that's true. But here's the thing. At what point do we start to believe that? Because right now, I believe AI is getting better. It's getting better like anything else. And after, get more. So after a while, when will someone say, hey, let's do a whole AI movie? It'll be a hoot. And then after a while, that writing becomes better. Because right now, AI stuff gets a little bit twisted, but everything gets better. And I'm concerned that we're going to get to the day where, because some people will take their AI devices and have them speak to one another. You ever seen that?
Those are translation bots.
But I'm afraid someone's going to ask the question one day, if they haven't already, how do you feel about that?
Oh, that's definitely happened. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
It does. No, I'm saying people don't need to. What I'm saying, they're regular. Sorry.
I've missed it. Go ahead.
For the sake of AI testing, there's also been a lot of people that actually ask AI bots exactly that question. Right. And oftentimes the question has kind of been benign or blasé, whatever the case may be. It's just like, I don't really have any direct a connection to this subject matter, right? However, if you want to take it from a logical standpoint, this is only what the AI would represent it. It should do it like this, that, and the third way, right? And that's how it comes up with a solution based on numbers and scenarios that are already out there and already been presented to the robot. I don't think it's ever going to, in this present time, going to say, well, I personally feel this should happen. All right? I do believe that there might be a moment just to cut out the middleman in which a program might just say, I believe this, right? But again, it will just be talking like it would be to be unsettling to human presentation.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think I will say I feel like ground things a little bit. I think a lot of people get caught up with, I think the branding is the issue. I think a lot of people get caught up with the term AI, which is artificial intelligence, and specifically the intelligence part. And the intelligence part is the thing that sounds scary, but again, people forget about the artificial part. And all it's doing is mimicking what is considered to be intelligence, and it's also mimicking what's considered to be intelligence through the idea of speech, which, fair enough, most things can't do. Like, dogs can't mimic human speech. If they did, we'd also be scared. But, or maybe it'd be cute, depends on your dog, I guess. It doesn't matter. But what I'm saying is like, I think this is the reason why I keep calling it a tool on how guns are scary and they don't talk. But
Not yet, anyway.
I don't know. I mean, there's some argument in there.
I mean, Iron Giant was a whole movie about that, so that's fair.
Right.
But
Yeah, that's true.
But my main point is this: it's like, I think it's again just how we use these tools. The newspaper was scary for some people for a while back in the day, and then like it's when we see a new tool, when we see essentially a new technology, it's how we implement it. And notoriously, or humans have a bad history of implementing things that are progressive and things that make money in mass, and that's usually the problem. So I think it's more about regulation and what as a society do we want for it. For instance, something that I think is useful, because I got a new phone, so it has AI on it. And something I've always wanted since I was a kid, because I'm a nerd, is I love the idea of like the Iron Man Jarvis thing.
Yes.
That's cool, but all I want to do is ask it questions and like just advanced GPS, and it'd be kind of cool if my robot was slightly snarky with me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But like also like the idea of AI art, literally stealing art, sometimes because it doesn't know how to regulate itself, will steal its signature, and then like that's plagiarism. We need to learn how to control that, and that I believe is a bad part of AI, because it is stealing. I don't know how else to.
Right.
You just don't have it regulated.
Yeah, all it sees is individual pixels on an image. So it's not really going to say, oh, that is a particular individual. It's
That's the
going to see, oh, it's part of the picture, so I'm going to place this part of the picture in
AI
the
is
picture.
doing its
You
job.
see, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
Now is what it's doing, and we've become comfortable to believe that this is what it's doing now. Because I argue this, not quite the same, but still the same. I drink cherry and pineapple soda with artificial flavoring. They really don't taste like the fruit itself that it represents.
They're red.
You know, but I promise you, if I drink something that's artificially flavored, I don't get upset with it. I will drink it.
That's what I'm saying. So,
Yeah,
like-
so I'll consume it.
And that's the path. Again, not to put the whole fear into the society at this moment, because everything, as far as I'm aware, scientists have been doing is to try to make this a progressive tool, right? But the fantasy has always been, it always starts off like that. It always starts off as a droid bot, or like a helpful aid as a butler, all right? In which case, now that its articulation is better, now that it looks more personable as a human, like as a humanoid, it's more accepting in the household, as opposed to just looking like a bucket of bolts carrying your breakfast to you. In which case, you're saying, oh, because I can't relate to its facial features, it might have made an error, right? Now, I believe there's also, like, again, seeing things online, I want to make sure that they're true. I can look them up later. There was, I believe, an AI that generated some type of pseudo skin for a bot based off of I want to say fungal cells, right? In which case they made like actual like living skin for a droid
Out of mushrooms?
out of mushrooms, right? Again, I'll look into this and I'll present it next week if I'm true or not, or I might even drop this underneath the film,
Right.
underneath this video. But like, this is what I'm seeing AI doing based on the information that's being fed, right? And it's a variety of different things. I'm assuming the whole entire internet has already seen bots do backflips, bots that look like dogs and chasing after certain targets, right?
Boston Dynamic Robots is what he's talking about. They're famous Boston Dynamic Robot videos.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, so like all of those are just, I'm assuming they're going to be aids for those that are like,
Well, you saying the mushroom skin thing is interesting. Did you see that?
Oh, again, I saw it as a small little clip going up and down, doom scrolling as it were, on Facebook, right? I don't know.
What did you call it?
Doom scrolling is the terminology, in which case I've probably been up and down. Like, again, it was presented to me as doom scrolling. But
I'm
it's
so
really
old. I'm so
It's
old.
just, you're on your phone for hours just looking for the next big hit of endorphins to go based on whatever you're
Well,
finding.
the mushroom thing is scary, but if you guys want to learn anything more about fun guys on YouTube in various fields, please like and subscribe and share.
Bravo.
And please hit all the buttons.
I'm hitting this one because that was a very good
Bravo.
I'm losing it. I need the segue. I have it.
Well done. You still kept the timing very well done. I am very good. Very
very
good.
good.
Very good. Good job. Good job. Yeah,
I definitely don't have AI.
but I do have a level of concern about the AI concept, because I believe now we're starting to see AI platforms that have been created.
Yes.
And I believe I've seen AI news reports.
Yes.
So AI now has the ability to create a fake news report with a picture and this, that, and the other.
Correct.
That is, which people will sometimes, if they don't check it, will believe it to be true.
Can I say? Well, yes. That is a problem. Misinformation is a problem. Can I say something that I think is actually going to help us here, though, with AI and also AI art, specifically all that jazz, is that I think a lot of people, most people, regardless of this, I think sometimes people think technology is cool. I think a lot of people even can acknowledge that AI is cool by the nature of technology, uses things like that. But I think no one respects, a lot of people don't respect things that are like, I won't say done easily, but essentially I want to say I think AI can become corny no matter how good it gets.
Corny?
Corny.
Okay, go on.
And I think that's going to get into it. I think if AI made a complete movie and you couldn't tell the difference and all that jazz, but someone's like, you use AI, I think someone would be like, you use AI? And I think AI could become uncool and therefore kind of unmarketable. To a certain degree, because I feel like that happens a lot of times. Where like if you use or you cheat a system or you try to do it, not too many people artists aren't going to rally behind you. A lot of artists don't like AI art. So if you're like, hey, this is this crazy thing, what did you do? Typed in a prompt. No, many artists aren't going to support you. You know,
Right. And that's the present day feeling of it too.
There you go.
Right. And I definitely understand, but this is the reason why I'm saying that this all about the overexposure that we're dealing with now. We're going to get so accustomed to
That's what I'm trying to say.
AI exposure later down the line, in which case I'm not going to say everyone is not going to appreciate art in the future. What I'm going to say is people are going to get accustomed to everything being written, driven by AI. We're already accustomed to AI controlling our car movements at this moment, right? Even though it's a program, and you're being pinged by a satellite and everything like that, you're still being driven artificially, all right? So we are already accustomed of them quite literally driving our lives.
but in the same way, that's become less cool. I think what I'm trying to say is this. I think as we get accustomed, yes, it gets in the future, it'll get better. I think, but also we do too. We get better. Like maybe this is just me. Maybe and I'm pretty sure Nels is also pretty good. When you do in video and stuff, you can pretty
Identify
quickly
what it
notice what is AI.
Again.
You can get better at like AI gets better, but also as AI gets better, you get better at picking up the subtle things that AI does do, and then it becomes more noticeable.
You'll definitely recognize the
It becomes a
differences.
style. It becomes a true like. There's a time where like. Going back to social media when Instagram was more of it's like just popping off and thing. A lot of just Instagram filters were super cool because you pop on a filter that was Photoshop editing. You would need to do video editing, you need to do that for a while. It's like wow, this you're color tone, and eventually just adding a filter became uncool. It's like you just added a filter, you didn't do too much, you kind of blurred your face. It's not as much as it. So I feel like AI can take the same route as being. Go for it.
No. I didn't.
No, I know.
I cut you off. I cut you off.
I felt the thing. I felt the gears turn.
No. Yeah, but I don't want to stop you.
But the main point is, I do think I think we have to give ourselves credit to how information, because again, this is a new technology. It feels new, but a lot of technologies do plateau. It feels infinite, but that's every internet had that moment, and now we're kind of hitting a plateau of internet. I won't lie. Like we've done as much as we can. Social media is different. Like internet itself has done a lot of what it can. Social media has changed it, and that's what we now. People talk about social media when they talk about the internet now. But it's changed, and technology does plateau. It hits a point where it becomes kind of flat and stale, and then it evolves into something else. That's what we're seeing with AI. But AI is going to get to a point where it hits a version of plateau, at least that becomes recognizable, and the new thing is going to come up from AI.
I think the closest thing that we might need, or the next thing that internet might do, is make information even more instant than it already is, right? But that would be like, we already have Skype, we already have Zoom, right? But the only thing that we're missing, I believe, is probably like, I guess, holographic images of an individual standing next to you as you're taking a phone call, But I don't think
Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
that's what I'm saying. I don't think that is the next step for internet, but I'm saying it's interesting for you to say the internet is going to plateau, which I think the only evolution that it really goes through is just the information that is being
But
fed
that's
or
what I'm trying to
dropped
say.
in.
I'm saying the idea. I want to let that because he's been and we've been
No,
talking.
No, continue. I don't want to stop you, even though I have a thought, but go on. I don't want to stop you.
This is a conversation, so it's going back and forth. But my thing is, I'm not trying to say technology stops. I'm saying it hits a plateau. Like at some point, it hits a point of. I think AI does well now because we're seeing how it's being implemented, how it's growing, how it's progressing, and it's eventually going to hit a point where that becomes a norm, and it's no longer going to be as new, and it's going to become slower and hit kind of like a fault line. I'm not sure it's going to stop. But I'm saying internet has done that. Internet has done a lot, and what has now evolved has gotten to a point where social media, through the use of internet, is how a lot of people frame the internet. But blogging has hit a plateau. Used to be everything. You know what I mean? So AI now uses the internet and now uses social media to communicate in a way like social media does. And that's eventually going to. So I'm just saying those things change, and as those things change, we get better at recognizing it. And as we get better at recognizing
Go ahead,
it.
Dad.
But do we though? I would like to bring to the table, gentlemen, this case. Bruce Willis
All right.
in the movie Fifth element. There's a scene that was really that was like really considered to be a great scene where he's at some type of club and the creature is singing a song. I don't know if you remember this
I haven't watched it.
but anyway, it's a bluish looking creature, but they're utilizing auto tune.
Yeah.
And we were amazed back then at how high the voice of the creature could be because we're like, oh my gosh, what are they doing with the voice? Because at that time, that which was music was not that.
Yes.
But now, the norm. See, you say plateau. I'm concerned that the plateau will shift the dynamic, and now the new paradigm will be that which was created by something else. You know, back in the day, we had people who played drums. Now we have drum machines, and it's not odd. It's not. In fact, it's it is music. Auto tune and auto vocal correction is so much a part of our.
I only want to say this in terms of how I can see the evolution of AI going. And there could be multiple paths, but here are the two major ones that I see. We can either make everything automated, in which case AI is going to keep bumping up into artificial machines, artificial bots, in which case we're going to have bionic individuals in our lifestyle on the regular, in which case we are used to them, right? On the other path, it's more of our assimilation of AI into our own selves, in which case we have the Google Glasses, which allows us to kind of like identify like locations and languages that are being brought to us,
If you don't-
right? Or stuff like that, like
If you don't become robots, we live long enough to become them.
yeah, in terms of exactly. It's not so much that we are going to be fully like there's differences. It's either going to be iRobot or Cyberpunk 2099. So it's just, those two paths are really the ones that are open to me. And then the third one, it would be the Matrix down the line.
See, the thing is, I think as time goes on, we these things that we speak of, they merge into society so slowly. Because like right now, there is not one of us. I shouldn't say not one. Many people rely on their cell phones to such a degree that if they lose it, they lose it. And it's like, oh, where's my cell phone? Where, 'cause so how, and at one time, cell phones were not, and they are now. I remember a time when there wasn't a cell phone. Now I can't remember a time when there wasn't a cell phone. You dig what I'm saying?
I just have to do this quick because we're running out of time. But I'm going to say, I think we're misunderstanding what I mean by plateau. Again, I'm not saying stop. I'm saying now, adding autotune, like I said, to music is something you can do, but it's no longer revolutionary or as cool. It's just you do it.
Right.
But
So
I'm
you're
saying
saying
it doesn't
plateau
have
as
as
a
much as an
commonplace-
impact as it would have used to.
Quite literally an everyday thing.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, with that, what was considered music now has now the definition of what is music has now been changed because of these automated things. Now it's acceptable. At one time, musicians, we would scoff at using a drum machine. We got 2 minutes, guys.
I will simply say that
Thank you, Nelson.
I believe that true artistry will forever exist, right? In terms of an artist's interaction with technology, artistry in itself will always be how an individual utilizes the tools at hand, right? That doesn't discredit your ability to draw. That doesn't discredit your ability to mix music. That doesn't discredit your ability to, I don't know, write a sonnet, if you will, right? It will only just be discredited if it was given all to the AI to do, right? If you want to put your own twist on the AI's words, right? That is your, I guess, interpretation, right? That is your expression still, right? Just don't let it be a thing where it's writing a full palimpsest or for a script or for a book, right? And you only grammatically correct it, just to get your own words out. That's what I'm thinking.
My greatest concern is that we will now allow AI to join the human dynamic, and it will blind us in such a way that we won't realize or recognize. And maybe not now, maybe 100 years from now, we won't remember when it was never a part of us, and so now it becomes one of us, one of us, one of us.
That's dark. My only takeaway is that with specifically AI art is that I think it's honestly just like another artist, and you don't let another artist get in your way of doing art, no matter what we perceive, because again, you can't let it stop imagination. So even if it's AI, let it Van Gogh and get out of here.
Oh, well done.
We'll call it.
You take it out with that, baby.
This is Various Fields. I'm Lex.
I'm Hazen Fields II.
And I'm Trey. Nice seeing you. We'll see you on the next one.
Love you, fellas. See
Peace
y'all
out.
later.
Bye for now.
That was stupid.